Welcome, gentlemen, to Stoic Reflections, where we explore the secrets to becoming the best version of ourselves. In today's podcast, we'll discuss a topic of no less importance, the Stoic Man, how to earn respect and admiration from women. Have you ever wondered what truly makes a man attractive and respectable in the eyes of women? Is it a glamorous appearance, vast wealth, or sweet words? The answer may surprise you. It is character and fortitude. As the ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle once said, knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. The Stoic man does not seek external validation, but focuses on cultivating inner qualities. He understands his worth and lives by his moral principles. This creates a special charm that makes women admire and trust him. In this podcast, we will explore 6 golden principles of Stoicism together, helping you become a man of fortitude, confidence, and respect. You will learn how to master your emotions, set boundaries, communicate effectively, and build solid self-esteem. Let me give you a quick preview of some of the principles. First, it is to maintain composure under pressure. Imagine a valiant general who, despite facing danger, remains calm and wise. That temperament not only makes the soldiers admire him but also makes the enemy wary. Similarly, a calm man always makes a strong impression on women. Are you ready to discover the secrets of the Stoic man? Let's begin our journey to conquer the hearts of women. Principle 1. Maintain composure under pressure. A man who maintains his composure under pressure earns not only the respect of women, but also of everyone who observes him. Steadfastness and composure under pressure are the true measure of strength. When you can remain calm in the most challenging situations, you not only demonstrate self-control but also radiate a deep inner strength. Women, by instinct, respect men who are not swayed by chaos, as it reflects a rare quality, the ability to maintain their stance despite adversity. Consider Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor renowned for his stoic wisdom. He faced not only invasions and plagues but also endured political betrayals and immeasurable personal losses. Despite these trials, he maintained his composure and clarity. He understood that panic would not bring about anything positive. He chose to confront difficulties with reason and self-control, and this is what made him admired. When you display the same mindset, you earn the respect of not only women but also everyone who observes you. Composure under pressure is not an outward display but the result of inner discipline and emotional mastery. It speaks to the fact that you are a man others can trust and rely on, no matter how difficult the situation. When you enter a debate or face a challenge, instead of reacting immediately, remain calm, analyze the situation, and make decisions based on reason. It is this steadfastness that will make you the man women respect and admire. The greatest weapon against stress is our ability to choose one thought over another. William James. This quote by the father of American psychology highlights the power we have over our minds. In stressful situations, we can choose to focus on the negative, spiraling into anxiety and panic. Or we can choose to focus on solutions, on our ability to overcome challenges, thereby maintaining our composure. Consider the story of Captain Chesley Sully Sullenberger, who, in 2009, safely landed a U.S. Airways plane on the Hudson River after a bird strike disabled both engines. His calm demeanor and decisive actions under immense pressure saved the lives of all 155 people on board. This is a perfect example of how composure under pressure can lead to extraordinary outcomes. Cultivating composure under pressure is not an easy task. It requires consistent effort and practice. Here are a few strategies you can employ. Practice mindfulness. Being present in the moment can help you better manage your emotions and reactions. Develop problem-solving skills. When you're confident in your ability to solve problems, you'll be less likely to panic under pressure. Take care of your physical health. Regular exercise, adequate sleep, and a healthy diet can improve your overall resilience to stress. Remember, composure under pressure is not about suppressing your emotions. It's about understanding them, managing them, and responding in a way that is effective and respectful. It's about being the kind of man who can handle anything life throws his way with grace and strength. Principle 2. Speak with confidence. Speaking with confidence is the language of leaders, warriors, and kings, those who do not beg for respect but command it solely through their presence and words. Trust me, there is no faster way to earn the respect of a woman than by speaking with conviction and certainty. However, this confidence does not stem from arrogance or overcompensation, but from a deep-rooted self-assurance and an unshakable understanding of one's own worth. Consider Zeno of Citium, the founder of Stoicism. He spoke with such clarity and confidence that his philosophy has influenced countless generations. When you speak with confidence, you are following in the footsteps of great men, those who knew their words carried weight because their actions gave them real meaning. Women, psychologically, are drawn to power and certainty. People naturally gravitate toward leaders who appear confident in themselves. On the other hand, when you speak hesitantly or display doubt in your words, you inadvertently diminish your image. But when your tone is steady, your words purposeful, and your message clear, you elevate your status in her eyes. Don't use words to seek validation or try too hard to impress. Instead, speak because you have something truly valuable to share. When you demonstrate confidence not only in your words, but also in your thoughts and actions, women will not only listen to you, but also feel the strength of your presence. This kind of confidence, combined with authenticity, forms the foundation for earning respect from anyone. As the famous author and speaker Zig Ziglar once said, "You don't build others up by tearing yourself down." Confidence isn't about being perfect, it's about embracing your imperfections while still standing tall. Imagine a courtroom scene where a lawyer presents their case. The most persuasive attorneys aren't the ones who shout or stumble over their words. They're the ones who speak calmly, clearly, and with authority. Their confidence reassures everyone in the room that they know what they're talking about. Similarly, in personal interactions, your ability to communicate with poise can make all the difference. So ask yourself, do my words reflect the inner strength I want to project? Remember, confidence is contagious. When you embody it, others can't help but respond in kind. It's not just about how you speak, it's about creating an aura of certainty that others can't ignore. Principle 3. Powerful eye contact. The eyes are the windows to the soul, an ancient saying, yet timeless in its truth. Powerful eye contact is one of the most potent psychological tools a Stoic man can use to convey confidence, authority, and an unshakable presence. Women, by instinct, respect a man who can look them directly in the eyes without wavering, as such a gaze reveals self-control and a steadfast mind. This does not mean staring aggressively or attempting to dominate the other person. Rather, it means using your eyes to communicate stability and inner strength. When you maintain steady eye contact, free from distractions, you do more than just capture attention. You send a powerful message. You know who you are, and you are not easily swayed by external pressures. Consider Marcus Aurelius as he stood before his soldiers on the eve of battle. He did not shy away from their gazes, but met them head-on with unwavering resolve, reassuring them that their leader remained in control, even in the face of grave danger. Powerful eye contact triggers a primal response in the human brain, fostering trust and connection. Women recognize confidence and leadership through the eyes. On the contrary, when a man avoids eye contact, he may be perceived as lacking confidence, even if that perception is inaccurate. Maintain your gaze naturally, without excessive tension, just enough for her to feel the strength of your presence during interactions, whether in everyday conversations or serious moments. Your eyes will determine the level of respect she accords you. A confident, relaxed, and steady gaze is the ultimate expression of strength and internal composure. As Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, "The eyes of men converse as much as their tongues." Your eyes speak volumes before you even utter a word. Think about iconic figures throughout history, leaders like Martin Luther King Jr., whose unwavering gaze conveyed both compassion and conviction, or Winston Churchill, whose steely eyes reflected resilience and determination. These individuals understood the silent power of eye contact. So ask yourself, what story are my eyes telling? Are they projecting uncertainty, or do they radiate quiet assurance? Remember, eye contact isn't merely about looking, it's about connecting. It's about creating a bridge between you and the person across from you, making them feel seen and understood. When done correctly, powerful eye contact becomes an unspoken promise of authenticity and strength. Principle 4. Self-respect. Self-respect is the foundation of a high-value man. If you don't respect yourself, why should others, especially women, respect you? Trust me, women sense your level of self-respect immediately. This is reflected in how you behave, how you speak, and the decisions you make. If you lack self-respect, you become an easy target for manipulation, disrespect, and even self-doubt. Respecting yourself isn't just about setting clear boundaries, it's also about living according to your principles, no matter the cost. Aristotle once wrote, "Valuing oneself is the beginning of wisdom." When you respect yourself, you send a powerful message to the world that you will not tolerate mediocrity or any form of disrespect. Women are naturally drawn to men with high self-esteem because it reflects strength and integrity. A man who doesn't value himself will easily give in to pressure or compromise his values just to please others. But a Stoic man remains steadfast, living true to his values without seeking external approval. Consider Epicurus, who taught that true freedom comes from living according to one's own values. A man who respects himself doesn't need to demand respect from others. It comes naturally, as people, including women, recognize that he will never settle for anything less than the standards he has set for himself. Imagine a specific scenario. You're in a tense business meeting where every opinion is scrutinized. A man with high self-respect won't be easily shaken by harsh criticism. Instead, he listens carefully, analyzes feedback objectively, and only changes his stance if it makes sense. This behavior demonstrates not only emotional control, but also affirms his personal worth. As Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, "Never lose your self-respect, it is your most valuable possession." Women don't just want to see surface-level confidence, they seek consistency between words and actions. For instance, if you claim to value honesty but constantly lie about small things, your self-respect will be questioned. On the other hand, when you maintain integrity in every situation, no matter how difficult, you build trust and create a respectable image. Life is always full of challenges, but the question arises, do you have the courage to stand up for your values? Or will you choose the easy path by compromising? The answer lies in your self-respect. A man who knows his worth won't shy away from adversity. He understands that failure is sometimes part of the journey to growth. Winston Churchill once said, "Success is not final, failure is not fatal, it is the courage to continue that counts." That is the essence of self-respect, remaining steadfast, regardless of circumstances. Principle 5. Setting boundaries. A Stoic man is a fortress, and his boundaries are the walls that protect the sacred space within him. Without clear boundaries, you allow others, whether women or anyone else, to invade your personal space, erode your value, and disrupt your peace. Setting boundaries is not an act of rudeness or defensiveness. Rather, it is the highest expression of self-respect and a demand for reciprocal respect from others. Believe me, a man who knows where he stands and refuses to tolerate anything less will immediately command respect from any woman. Women often test boundaries, not out of malice but to understand who you truly are. Will you cave under pressure, trading your values for approval, or will you remain steadfast in your principles? Marcus Aurelius serves as a prime example. Surrounded by advisors and flatterers, he never allowed others to dictate his actions or compromise his integrity. When you set boundaries, you send a powerful message. Your time, energy, and values are non-negotiable. Establishing and maintaining boundaries not only fosters a sense of stability, but also reinforces your trustworthiness. Women respect men who are consistent in their words and actions. If you say you won't tolerate a certain behavior and then enforce that boundary, you demonstrate strength and resolve. On the other hand, if you let your boundaries be crossed, you lose respect not just from women but from yourself. A man without boundaries becomes easily manipulated, constantly trying to please everyone while ultimately losing himself. Women are drawn to men who are steadfast, not because they seek control but because they value honesty and authenticity. As Zeno of Citium taught, the greatest task of a man is to be honest with himself. Boundaries are tools that safeguard your dignity and composure, enabling you to live authentically and aligned with your values in any relationship. Think about it this way. Imagine a lighthouse standing tall against the crashing waves. Its light remains steady no matter how fierce the storm. Similarly, your boundaries act as your inner lighthouse, guiding you through turbulent interactions and relationships. They ensure that you stay true to who you are, even when external pressures try to sway you. Ask yourself, what boundaries have I set in my life, and am I enforcing them consistently? Remember, boundaries aren't barriers meant to keep people out. They're guidelines that help define what you will and won't accept. They create a framework for healthy relationships, ensuring mutual respect and understanding. When you honor your boundaries, you teach others how to treat you, and in doing so, you cultivate deeper connections built on trust and admiration. As the philosopher Aristotle once said, knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. By setting boundaries, you affirm your identity and protect your inner world, allowing you to engage with others from a place of strength and authenticity. Principle 6. Mastering emotions. Mastering emotions is not just a necessary virtue, it is the foundation of a high-value man. If you cannot control your emotions, you become a slave to fleeting thoughts. This not only makes you vulnerable but also diminishes the respect others, especially women, have for you. Emotional outbursts are the quickest path to a man's downfall. They make you predictable, weak, and easily manipulated. Women, though they may not always say it, respect men who remain calm even in the face of chaos. Consider Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoics in history. He faced war, betrayal, and immense personal pain, losing 8 of his 13 children, but still maintained his composure and strong will to lead an empire. His calmness was not the result of avoiding emotions, but the ability to transform them into strength. As Victor Hugo once said, greatness is not the absence of falling, but the ability to rise after every fall. In contrast, modern men often crumble when faced with minor setbacks, such as the end of a relationship or a rejection. This is not strength, it is a sign of weakness. A high-value man does not let external circumstances dictate his internal state. He does not complain or blame others. Instead, he tightens his grip and moves forward. Imagine a marathon runner on a challenging course. No matter how exhausted he feels, he doesn't give up because he understands that every difficulty is an opportunity to push past his limits. Women test your emotions, not to sabotage you, but to verify that you cannot be shaken. If you cannot handle criticism or a difficult moment, how can you manage greater challenges in life? Mastering emotions does not mean suppressing them, it means using them as tools for growth. Take inspiration from Marcus Aurelius, who transformed his pain into strength. If he could overcome immense personal loss and still lead with excellence, Then you too can face your own difficulties. Remember, emotions are like flowing water. If you try to block it, the pressure will build up and eventually burst. But if you learn to navigate the flow, you can use it to take you where you want to go. Winston Churchill once said, "Negative emotions cannot be eliminated, but they can be managed." When you gain control over your emotions, you not only build inner strength, but also create a respectable image in the eyes of others. Mastering emotions is not optional, it is your responsibility as a man. When you control your emotions, you take control of your life and earn the respect you deserve. A profound question arises: do you have the courage to confront yourself and acknowledge your weaknesses? Only when you dare to look directly at your emotions can you truly begin the journey of mastering them. Living according to Stoic philosophy, a path to respect. Living according to Stoic philosophy is not just a choice, it is a commitment to achieving genuine respect from both yourself and those around you. Stoicism is the mastery of oneself, encompassing thoughts, emotions, and actions. When you embrace this philosophy, you not only become stronger but also send a clear message that you are a man who knows his worth and cannot be easily shaken by any circumstance. Stoic philosophy teaches us that we cannot control what happens to us, but we always have control over how we respond. When you adopt this mindset, you exude a quiet and steady confidence, a quality that women and the world at large deeply respect. Women, by instinct, are drawn to men who can remain calm and rational in any situation. This not only earns admiration but also fosters a sense of safety and trust. Take inspiration from Marcus Aurelius, who lived by Stoic principles. He did not allow challenges such as war, betrayal, or personal loss to shake his resolve. Instead, he transformed every hardship into an opportunity to strengthen his inner fortitude. Living according to Stoicism goes beyond words or thoughts. It must be demonstrated through actions. When you master yourself, you naturally become a source of inspiration for those around you. There's no need for showmanship or seeking recognition. Your strong presence alone becomes the most compelling testament to the values you represent. This is the path to earning lasting respect from women and from yourself. As the great Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This timeless wisdom reminds us that true strength lies in our ability to maintain composure and clarity, regardless of external chaos. Consider the metaphor of a tree in a storm. The strongest trees are not those that resist the wind, but those that bend with it, rooted deeply in the ground. Similarly, a Stoic man adapts to life's challenges without losing his core values or inner peace. Ask yourself, am I reacting to life's challenges with resilience, or am I allowing circumstances to dictate my emotions? Remember, living stoically doesn't mean suppressing feelings or pretending nothing affects you. It means acknowledging your emotions while choosing to act with purpose and reason. When you embody this philosophy, you create a ripple effect, inspiring others to seek their own inner strength and self-mastery. Ultimately, Stoicism is about more than personal growth. It's about becoming a beacon of stability and integrity in a chaotic world. By mastering your thoughts, regulating your emotions, and acting with intention, you demonstrate that you are a man of substance, a man who commands respect not through facade or manipulation, but through authenticity and unwavering principles. And when you live this way, respect becomes not something you chase but something that naturally flows toward you. Self-respect, the foundation of all relationships. Self-respect is the solid foundation upon which all relationships are built, especially when it comes to earning respect from women. If you don't respect yourself, no one, not even women, will find a reason to respect you. Self-respect isn't just about recognizing your value, it's about living in alignment with that value, no matter the challenges that arise. Keep in mind that women can sense your self-esteem immediately. It shows in the way you carry yourself, the way you speak, and the decisions you make. A man who lacks self-respect easily becomes a victim of manipulation or disrespect, but a man who knows his worth and refuses to compromise on the standards he sets for himself will always command admiration. As Aristotle once said, self-respect is the beginning of wisdom. When you value yourself, you won't settle for anything less than what aligns with your principles and the values you represent. This isn't arrogance, it's a quiet confidence that stems from knowing exactly who you are and what you deserve. When women see a man who respects himself, they recognize the strength and integrity within him. This man isn't easily swayed by external pressures or the desire to please others. He sets clear boundaries and adheres to them, sending a powerful message that he will not tolerate mediocrity or disrespect. Consider this: the way you treat yourself sets the tone for how others will treat you. When you hold yourself in high regard, respect from others, including women, will naturally follow because they recognize you as someone who accepts nothing less than his full worth. Think of self-respect as an invisible force field. It shields you from negativity, poor treatment, and situations that don't align with your values. Imagine a sculptor carefully chiseling away at a block of marble. Each deliberate strike reflects his vision and commitment to creating something beautiful. Similarly, every decision you make to honor your self-respect shapes the person you become. You are the artist of your life, and your self-respect is the masterpiece you're crafting. When you approach life with this mindset, people around you, especially women, will notice. They'll see a man who doesn't beg for validation but earns it through consistent actions and unwavering principles. Ask yourself, am I living in a way that reflects my true worth? Are you setting boundaries that protect your peace and dignity? Remember, self-respect is not something you achieve overnight, it's cultivated through daily choices. It's about saying no to things that diminish your value and yes to opportunities that elevate it. As the philosopher Seneca wisely stated, no one can cheat you out of your own life. In other words, only you have the power to determine how you're treated. When you prioritize self-respect, you take control of your narrative. You stop seeking approval from others and start building a life rooted in authenticity and strength. And when women witness this level of self-mastery, they don't just admire you, they trust and respect you deeply. After all, a man who respects himself inspires others to do the same. Spreading your message through actions. Actions are always the most powerful language of respect. A man of high value doesn't need to say much to demonstrate who he is. Instead, he lets his actions speak for themselves. Women and the world at large are drawn to a man who acts with certainty, clear purpose, and unwavering determination. Spreading your message through actions means living according to the principles you believe in. If you claim to value honesty, act with integrity. If you prioritize discipline, prove it through how you manage your time, health, and work. Women don't just listen to what you say, they pay close attention to how you behave. As the saying goes, actions speak louder than words, and this truth resonates deeply in relationships. Consider Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who didn't just lead with words, but with transparent decisions and steadfast actions. He didn't need to flaunt his power. Instead, he demonstrated leadership by remaining true to his principles, even in the most challenging moments. Spreading your message through actions also means never compromising on the values you represent, no matter how difficult the circumstances may be. Women respect men who stand firm in their convictions, rather than trying to please everyone. Such a man not only earns respect but also inspires others through every action, no matter how small. Remember, you don't need to seek recognition. When you live authentically, strongly, and purposefully, you naturally radiate the message that you are a man worthy of respect, not through words, but through the life you build. Respect is not something you beg for or expect from others, It's something you must cultivate and demonstrate through your way of life. As Stoic Man understands his worth and lives according to his principles, naturally earning respect from women and those around him. Gaining respect is not an easy journey. It requires emotional control, standing firm in your beliefs, and living consistently by the values you hold dear. Respect doesn't come from flowery words or superficial gestures. It stems from consistency and integrity in every decision and action. Marcus Aurelius once said, "True strength lies in mastering oneself." When you master yourself, your emotions, thoughts, and actions, you no longer need external validation. Your confidence and stability will speak volumes. Women, by instinct, are attracted to such men, those who exude security, trustworthiness, and leadership in every situation. In conclusion, earning respect is a journey, not a destination. It requires constant self-improvement, living authentically, and never compromising on your values. When you respect yourself, the world will respect you, and respect from women will naturally follow without needing to be demanded. Live as a Stoic man should, strong, resolute, and always a role model for others to emulate. As Mahatma Gandhi famously said, "Be the change that you wish to see in the world." By embodying the qualities you admire, you inspire others to do the same. Respect isn't given, it's earned through consistent, purposeful living. And when you commit to this path, you'll find that respect becomes a natural byproduct of the life you lead.
All right, buckle up for a deep dive you might not see coming. Someone sent us this podcast episode called The Stoic Man, How to Earn Respect and Admiration from Women. And it's from a podcast called Stoic Reflections. Mm-hmm. And the title might raise an eyebrow or two, but I think it's worth a closer look. We're going to explore how this podcast is trying to connect ancient Stoic philosophy with modern dating advice.
Yeah, that's a pretty interesting premise, trying to use, philosophy as a dating strategy.
Right. Can ancient wisdom actually be applied to something like modern romance?
I mean, it's a big question.
Yeah, it is. And that's exactly what we're going to try to unpack today. But before we get into the nitty-gritty, I think we should do, a super quick overview of what Stoicism is all about.
Yeah, for sure. Just to get everyone on the same page.
Right.
Okay, so Stoicism basically boils down to a few key things, like virtue and reason and this idea of living in harmony with nature. And a huge part of that is recognizing that, we can't control what happens to us, but we can control how we react to it.
So it's all about focusing on what you can control and accepting what you can't.
Exactly. And that feeds into the idea of resilience. Being able to handle whatever life throws at you without completely falling apart.
Which seems like that would apply to dating.
Oh, totally.
Or just life in general.
For sure. Who wouldn't want to be more resilient when it comes to rejection or disappointment? Or just all the craziness that life throws our way?
Right.
Okay, so Stoicism is about resilience and virtue. But how does this podcast actually translate that into dating advice? That's the question.
Well, they've got these 6 key principles, which we're going to go through one by one.
Okay, so we'll look at each principle, see how it lines up with actual Stoic philosophy, and then we'll talk about how it might apply beyond just the whole dating scene.
Sounds good. Okay, so principle number 1 is maintain composure under pressure, which, just on the surface, that sounds like solid advice for just about anything, right?
Yeah.
But this podcast takes it a step further and says that women are instinctively drawn to men who stay calm and steady when things get tough.
So they're connecting Stoic composure with being attractive. Interesting. But is that a little too simplistic? I get it to an extent, but is it really, universally true about attraction? I don't know.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering the same thing. Is that just a convenient assumption?
Yeah. And to illustrate the principle, they use all these examples like historical figures like Marcus Aurelius, who was facing all kinds of craziness as emperor.
Right.
And then they use modern examples like Captain Sully Sullenberger, who landed that plane on the Hudson River.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
These are people who totally embody that whole stay calm under pressure ideal.
Right. But is that what makes them attractive? Or is that oversimplifying things a little?
Yeah, I think that's a valid question.
Yeah.
Are they attractive because of their resilience? Or is this podcast kind of mixing those ideas together?
Yeah. And this is where things start to get really interesting. Because now I'm thinking about all the ways that these principles could be like, I don't know, misinterpreted.
Oh, for sure.
Or even like misused when you apply them to dating.
Yeah, it's tricky for sure. So, on to principle number 2, speak with confidence.
Okay, so here they bring up Zeno of Citium.
Okay.
He was the founder of Stoicism,
Right?
and he was known for being a really persuasive speaker.
Yeah.
And the podcast emphasizes that it's not about being arrogant or bragging. It's about having authentic confidence, which again, sounds like good advice no matter what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then they connect it back to dating by saying that women are drawn to men who project self-assuredness.
So their thinking is, if you believe in yourself, other people will believe in you too. And that includes potential dates.
Yeah, basically.
Okay, I see their point.
Yeah.
But this feels like another one of those principles that could be like totally misinterpreted.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
What if someone thinks that speak with confidence means they should just dominate every conversation or just ignore what other people are saying?
Yeah, exactly. It makes me wonder if confidence, even real, genuine confidence, always translates into attractiveness, or if it depends on how that confidence comes across.
It's an interesting question, and it's a good reminder that communication is complex.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
What's next?
Okay, principle number 3, powerful eye contact.
Ooh. Okay, this one is interesting.
Right.
They talk about Marcus Aurelius again, addressing his soldiers with this steady gaze. And they suggest that strong eye contact can trigger all these primal responses of trust and leadership.
Okay.
But then, and this is important, they say don't stare too intensely.
Right.
Because it's about connection, not intimidation.
Which is, a pretty fine line, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I'm wondering if this one is especially easy to misinterpret.
Yeah, especially in a dating context where like power dynamics can be so tricky.
Totally. Yeah. So their intention might be to help people connect, but it could also easily backfire.
Yeah, I can see that happening. Okay, so on to principle number 4, self-respect.
This one feels like it's just important no matter what.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like whether you're single or in a relationship.
Exactly.
Self-respect is just fundamental.
They use this interesting analogy here. They compare self-respect to a lawyer in a courtroom who commands respect just by being, self-assured.
Okay.
Not by being loud or aggressive.
I like that.
Yeah, it's a good image.
Yeah.
And they also quote this line, you don't build others up by tearing yourself down.
Oh, that's good.
Right? It fits perfectly with that Stoic idea of focusing on your inner virtue and what you can control.
Absolutely. But of course, they connect this back to dating by saying that self-respect makes you more attractive.
Okay, so their logic is people are drawn to those who value themselves.
Right, which makes sense. But is that attraction based on genuine respect, or is it more about seeing self-respect as a sign of status or something?
Yeah, that's a good point. It's complicated.
For sure. It's like self-respect is great, but can it also be misinterpreted as arrogance? Especially in dating where you're supposed to be like vulnerable. It's a tough one.
It is. It's interesting for sure. Okay, what about number 5?
All right, principle number 5 is setting boundaries. And I feel like this one is so relevant these days.
Yeah, definitely. Everyone is just constantly demanding our time and attention.
Exactly. And the podcast uses this cool metaphor. They describe boundaries as the walls of a fortress, protecting what's valuable.
Oh, I like that. It really emphasizes how important it is to protect yourself.
Right.
And not let people take advantage of you.
Exactly. And of course, here's where they connect it back to dating.
Yeah.
They say that setting clear boundaries actually makes you more attractive.
Okay, now that is interesting. How does that work?
Their thinking is that boundaries show self-respect and that you're choosy about who you spend time with. They say that when you have strong boundaries, you attract people who respect those boundaries, which includes romantic partners.
So it's about filtering out people who don't align with your values.
Precisely. But even though that sounds empowering, it also makes me wonder.
What do you mean?
Well, could this approach also prevent you from making genuine connections? Like what if you're so busy weeding out people who don't meet your criteria that you miss out on something real?
That's a really good point. It's about finding that balance between protecting yourself and staying open to new people and experiences.
Exactly. It's tricky. And I think the podcast might be oversimplifying things a bit by presenting boundaries as like a dating tactic.
Okay, I see what you mean. Okay, so on to the last one.
Right. Principle number 6, mastering emotions.
This one sounds very Stoic.
Oh, it totally is. Stoicism is all about understanding that emotions are natural, but we don't have to let them control us.
Yeah.
We can choose how we respond to them.
Right. And the podcast uses the example of Marcus Aurelius again. facing all those challenges as emperor, but staying composed. They make it clear that it's not about suppressing your emotions, but about using them in a productive way.
Right, like channeling your emotions instead of letting them control you.
And they use this analogy of a marathon runner pushing through exhaustion to connect it back to that stoic resilience idea we were talking about earlier.
Right.
But then, of course, they bring it back to dating.
Of course.
And say that men who can master their emotions are seen as more attractive and reliable.
Well, yeah, I mean, who wants to be with someone who's always ruled by their emotions?
True.
But this feels like it could be reinforcing some not so great gender stereotypes, you know?
Yeah.
Like, are they suggesting that men shouldn't show vulnerability? Or that being emotionally stoic is somehow more masculine? It's a bit iffy.
Yeah, it does kind of make you wonder. Okay, so we've gone through all 6 principles, and
we have.
I'm already seeing some patterns.
Oh, what are you noticing?
Well, on the one hand, all these principles, composure, confidence, self-respect, boundaries, mastering emotions, they seem like good qualities to have, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But the way they're presented in this dating context makes me wonder if they're missing the bigger picture a little.
Yeah, it's like they're taking these really profound philosophical ideas and basically turning them into, like, dating hacks.
Right.
Which,
Yeah.
I don't know, feels a little off.
Yeah, I think so too. And I'm worried that it could lead to people misinterpreting these ideas or even using them to manipulate others.
And also maybe even reinforcing some harmful stereotypes about men and women.
Totally. So I think we've got a lot more to unpack here as we continue this deep dive.
Absolutely. There's a lot more to explore. This whole thing about using Stoicism to attract women, it's kind of strange, right?
Yeah, feels a bit off, doesn't it? It's like they're simplifying Stoicism and oversimplifying attraction all at the same time.
Totally. Stoicism isn't about becoming some kind of, like, lady magnet. It's about personal excellence.
Right, like living a good life, not just a good dating life.
Exactly. A virtuous life, living in accordance with reason and nature, you know, that whole thing.
Yeah. It does feel like they're kind of turning these big philosophical ideas into like a dating checklist.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Which makes me wonder, are they even getting Stoicism right? Or are they just twisting it to fit their dating agenda?
That's the big question, isn't it? What do you think?
Well, they do seem to understand, like, the basics, of, you know, self-control, virtue, focusing on what you can control, that stuff.
Right.
But then there's also this layer of, I don't know, like, interpretation on top of that.
Okay, so you're saying they're taking some liberties with the philosophy.
I think so. For example, remember that first principle, maintain composure under pressure.
Yeah.
They use Marcus Aurelius and Captain Sully as examples.
Right, which, like, those are good examples.
Yeah, totally. But then they say that women are just instinctively drawn to men who are, like, that strong and stable under pressure.
Which is a pretty big generalization, right?
Yeah.
I mean, sure, some people might find those qualities attractive, but...
Yeah, exactly. It's way too simplistic to say that it's, like, a universal law of attraction.
Yeah, right. And I bet there are tons of women out there who are attracted to different things.
I'm sure. Plus, it creates all these unrealistic expectations for everyone involved, you know? Like, guys might think they just have to stay calm, and women will magically be into them.
And women might start expecting every guy to be some kind of stoic superhero.
Yeah, exactly. It sets everyone up for disappointment. It's like, come on, real life is messy.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
So what are we saying then? Is this podcast just completely wrong?
I wouldn't go that far. I think there are some nuggets of truth in there. It's just the framing is a bit questionable.
Like some of the principles could actually be helpful.
Yeah. Speak with confidence, for instance. That's good advice, whether you're dating or not.
True.
And they emphasize authentic confidence, not arrogance or bravado, which I think is important.
Yeah, it's about knowing your own worth and letting that shine through.
Exactly. And that can definitely be attractive, but not because it's some kind of trick. It's attractive because it reflects a genuine inner strength.
Okay, I see what you mean.
So even though the podcast frames it as a dating tick,
Right.
it's actually a much bigger idea.
Exactly. It's about personal growth, not just getting dates.
Okay, I like that. And I bet the same could be said for some of the other principles too, like self-respect and setting boundaries.
Oh, absolutely. Those are essential for any healthy relationship, not just romantic ones.
Right. It's about valuing yourself and not letting people walk all over you.
And even though the podcast connects those ideas to dating, the real message is about personal empowerment, you know, like taking control of your life.
Yeah. It's not about manipulating others to get what you want. It's about being a strong and independent person.
Right.
So even if we ignore the whole dating angle,
Yeah,
these principles can still be valuable for anyone.
totally. And that brings us back to the big question we started with.
The question of whether ancient wisdom can really be applied to modern dating.
Exactly.
And whether this podcast is actually doing it right. Yeah. I mean, Stoicism is all about navigating the challenges of life with resilience and grace.
And focusing on what you can control, right?
Exactly. It's about inner strength, not just how you appear to others.
And I guess that's where this podcast might be going a bit astray.
Yeah, I think so. It's like they're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. You can try to make it work.
Yeah.
But it's never going to be a perfect fit.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
It's a reminder to be careful when we try to apply ancient philosophies to modern life.
Exactly. We need to think critically about the original meaning, the nuances,
Right.
and whether we're accidentally distorting things along the way.
That's a really good point. And it makes me think about all the other ways we might be misinterpreting or misapplying these old ideas, not just in dating, but in other areas of life too.
Totally. It's a good reminder to always question our assumptions,
Yeah.
to dig deeper, and to be critical thinkers when it comes to the information we consume and the advice we follow.
So basically, dear listener, take this podcast with a grain of salt.
Right. And if you're really interested in Stoicism, go back to the original sources.
Like Marcus Aurelius.
Yeah, Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca. They'll give you the real deal, without the dating spin.
Okay, good to know. Now, before we move on to the final part of our deep dive, I want to go back to something we talked about earlier.
Oh, what's that?
The idea that even though these principles were presented in a very specific way, they might actually be helpful for anyone.
Yeah, we were talking about that, weren't we?
Right. And I think it's worth exploring that a bit further. We've got all these principles: composure, confidence, self-respect, boundaries, mastering emotions. These aren't just about attracting a partner, are they?
Definitely not. Think about all the other areas of life where these qualities could be valuable. Your career, relationships with friends and family, even just like dealing with the stress of everyday life.
Right. Like imagine going into a tough negotiation with that stoic composure.
Yeah.
Or setting clear boundaries with a coworker who's always asking for favors.
Or speaking up for yourself with confidence in any situation.
These are skills that can help you in all sorts of ways, not just in dating.
For sure. It's about leading a more fulfilling and resilient life overall.
And that's a much more empowering message, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like the podcast accidentally stumbled onto something really valuable,
Yeah.
but then got caught up in this very specific and maybe limiting way of framing it.
Yeah.
Like they found this treasure chest full of amazing tools, but only saw them as decorations for one specific room.
I like that analogy. It really captures the idea that we might be missing the bigger picture.
And what's really interesting to me is how these principles, if we take away the whole gendered aspect,
Right.
could actually help to challenge those traditional power dynamics. Okay, now that is fascinating. Tell me more about that.
Well, think about powerful eye contact for a second. The podcast presented it as a way for men to, assert dominance and attract women. But what if we flip that? What if women start using powerful eye contact to project confidence and authority in situations where they've historically been expected to be more submissive?
Wow, that's a really powerful reframing.
Right. It's not about attraction anymore. It's about owning your power.
Exactly.
And setting boundaries becomes even more important when we think about women or anyone in a less powerful position.
Right.
They're often expected to be more accommodating, to put others' needs before their own.
Yeah, that's true.
But what if setting firm boundaries becomes a way to challenge those expectations, to protect their time and energy?
It's about prioritizing yourself instead of always trying to please others.
Exactly. And even maintain composure under pressure can be seen in a new light. It's not about appearing strong for a potential partner. It's about staying calm and collected in any situation that tries to undermine you.
So we're seeing that these principles can actually be quite subversive when we look at them from a different angle.
Totally. They can be tools for personal empowerment,
Yeah.
for challenging societal norms,
Yeah.
and for creating a more equitable world where everyone has the chance to cultivate these qualities and benefit from them.
I love that.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how this conversation started with a podcast about attracting women using Stoicism.
And now we're talking about personal growth, resilience, and even social change.
Exactly. It just shows you that ideas can evolve and take on new meanings depending on how we look at them.
And that's the beauty of exploration, isn't it? You never know where it will lead you.
So true. So, dear listener, we've unpacked these 6 Stoic-inspired principles.
Yeah.
We've explored how they might apply beyond just dating. And hopefully we've given you some food for thought about how you can use these ideas in your own life.
And as we head into the final part of our deep dive, I want to leave you with a question to ponder.
Okay, hit me with it.
Could these principles, even though they were presented in a very specific context, hold value for anyone seeking self-improvement and stronger relationships?
Ooh, that's a good one. I can't wait to dig into that in part 3. That's a really good question to think about. Can these principles actually be helpful for anyone, even if they were presented in this really specific way, focused on attracting women?
It really makes you think, what if we just forget about the whole dating thing for a minute and just look at these principles as, life advice?
Okay, yeah, let's try that. We've got maintain composure under pressure, speak with confidence, self-respect, setting boundaries, and mastering emotions. Those aren't just about, getting someone to go out with you, right?
No, definitely not. I mean, think about that first one, maintain composure under pressure. The podcast was all about how that makes men more attractive to women.
Right.
But what if we think about it in a different situation, like giving a big presentation at work?
Or dealing with a family crisis or something.
Exactly. Suddenly, staying calm isn't about attracting a partner. It's about handling a tough situation.
And speak with confidence could be super useful in all sorts of situations too, like speaking up for yourself at work or setting boundaries in any relationship.
Right. It's about knowing your worth and not being afraid to express yourself.
I'm starting to see how these principles could be really powerful tools for just about anyone, not just for the dating scene.
Yeah, it's like the podcast accidentally stumbled onto these really valuable tools for personal growth.
Right.
But then packaged them in this very, narrow way.
Yeah. It's like they found a treasure chest, but they only used the treasure to decorate one tiny room.
Exactly. And it's really fascinating to me.
What's that?
It's how these principles, when you take away the whole gendered aspect of them, could actually be used to challenge those traditional ideas about power,
Okay, now that is really interesting. I'm all ears.
Well, think about powerful eye contact. The podcast said it was about men asserting dominance. But what if women started using powerful eye contact to show confidence and authority? Especially in situations where women are usually expected to be more, passive.
That's a good point. It's not about attracting someone anymore. It's about demanding respect.
Exactly. And setting boundaries becomes even more important when we think about women or anyone who's in a less powerful position.
Right.
They're often expected to, go with the flow and put everyone else's needs first.
That's so true.
But what if setting firm boundaries becomes a way to challenge those expectations, to protect their time and energy and not just be a people pleaser all the time?
It's about putting yourself first.
And exactly. And even maintain composure under pressure takes on a new meaning. It's not about looking strong for a potential partner.
Right.
It's about staying calm and in control when someone is trying to undermine you or make you feel less than.
Wow. So we're seeing that these principles can be really powerful when we look at them in a different way.
Definitely. They can help people to take control of their lives, challenge the status quo, and create a more just world.
It's pretty amazing how we started with this podcast about dating.
And now we're talking about, social change.
I know, right? It just shows you that exploring ideas can lead to some really unexpected places.
And that's what makes these deep dives so much fun. You never know where they're going to take you.
Definitely. And speaking of unexpected journeys, we've reached the end of this one. But hopefully, dear listener, you're walking away with some new insights about Stoicism and about how to apply these principles in your own life.
And remember, virtue is its own reward.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and we'll catch you next time.
So, we have gone through 6 gold principles of Stoicism together, the keys to helping you become a man of fortitude, confidence, and respect in the eyes of women. Remember, these are not just empty words, but a compass for a meaningful and happy life. As Marcus Aurelius, the great Roman emperor, once said, "The true strength is mastering oneself." The Stoic man constantly strives to perfect himself, from thinking, feeling to acting. He understands that the key to gaining respect and admiration lies not in trying to please everyone, but in living by his own values. I hope that the knowledge in this podcast will help you on your way to becoming the best version of yourself. Do not forget to click, like, subscribe, and share this podcast with your friends. Let's spread the good values of Stoicism together. If you have any questions or thoughts, do not hesitate to leave a comment below. I look forward to hearing from you. Goodbye and see you in the next podcasts of Stoic Reflections.